Hello, my name is Juan Gabriel Cegarra, and I am going to present this study, which is entitled A Dynamic Approach to Practical Wisdom in Rural Companies in Las Palmas de Gran Canarias. In this study, I have collaborated with Agustín Sánchez Medina, Constantin Bratianu, and Jorge Cegarra Sánchez. The study has been developed for the Second International Congress on Economics, Public Finance, Business and Social Sciences. This conference is taking place in November 7 and 9 in Istanbul, Turkey. Practical wisdoms involve the ability to make sound decisions in complex and certain situations by addressing different emotions, values, and context rational knowledge. This study tries to answer the following questions. The first one: is practical wisdom different from an individual point of view compared to a collective point of view? And the second question: how can practical wisdom be achieved from a social point of view? In order to answer this question, we have structured this paper as follows. In the first section, we will discuss the difference between knowledge, capacities, competencies, and capabilities concerning the decision-making process. In the second section, we will classify knowledge capacities into three different categories: spiritual, emotional, and rational capacities. In the third section, we will discuss why balancing capacities is important nowadays, especially for rural companies. Then we will describe some of the results and findings we found in three rural companies in Las Palmas de Gran Canarias, and finally we will provide some concluding remarks. Well, according to Aristotle, practical wisdom is achieved when someone is able to maintain a balance between his emotions, his values, and his technical knowledge. It is evident that maintaining such balance at a specific moment of time and from an individual point of view is almost impossible. Let us take, for example, the case of the Ever Given grounding. This incident took place on March 23, 2021, and it shows how rational knowledge to solve problems is not enough, and emotions can also be very important, and also spiritual knowledge to remember collective responsibility of our actions. The problem was probably caused because the second officer didn't rest enough, and an imbalance occurred at the individual level between his technical or rational knowledge and his emotional knowledge. In other words, he was tired and his fatigue overcame his rational knowledge, and the second officer was unable to apply his rational knowledge effectively. The solution was found from a social point of view using cooperative global practices. In other words, we do things that practical wisdom can be achieved at both levels, individual and social levels. The difference between individual and social levels can also be found when we differentiate between knowledge, capacities, competencies, and capabilities concerning the decision-making process. From this point of view, when we have knowledge and add skills, we are creating capacities. If we are also able to put the attitude, the disposition to do the things, we are transforming the capacities into our competencies. And finally, when we are able to teach other people are able to make the right decisions at the right times in different contexts and in different domains, we are transforming competencies into capabilities. The combination of knowledge and skills, as we have discussed previously, create our capacities. According to the thermodynamic theory of knowledge management developed by Bratianu, we can find three different types of capacities. Rational capacities include the ability to analyze data, understand the market, manage resources effectively, and plan for the long term, which is essential for making well-informed and strategic business decisions. That is entitled the know what. For instance, in the case of the Ever Given, we could consider analyzing the seed positions and weight distributions, or even creating a step-by-step technical plan. On the other hand, emotional capacities involve recognizing, understanding, and regulating our own emotions while also being aware of the influences these have on other people. For instance, in the case of ever givens, we could include managing stakeholder tensions, supporting team morale, or even resolving conflicts. Finally, spiritual capacities involve valued connection with the nature, combined with the attachments to the land. Managing such knowledge provides tools for sustainable management and preserving the natural environments, ensuring the long-term viability of local resources. In the case of the ever givens, we could include spiritual capacities such as embracing collective responsibility, prioritizing ethical decisions, or seeking long-term meaning and sustainable practices. It is important to note that the operationalization of practical wisdoms can be different at the individual and at the social levels. While at the individual levels, where practical wisdom could be operationalized as formative constructs in which they know why, they know how, and they know what can happen in different ways over time. At the social level, the three capacities could take place at the same time, because people can adapt to each other and mutual adaptation happens. This could be an important contribution from an empirical perspective, because the fact that, for instance, emotional capacity happens at the individual level doesn't guarantee that rational capacity could happen at the same time. However, in the case of a social perspective, the three capacities should happen at the same time, and even could have different weights. All of them should be correlated to each other and should happen at the same time. From an individual level, the individual's knowledge cycle, learning, relearning, and forgetting, is similar to the geographical profile of the island of Gran Canaria as proposed by Sanchez et al. In 2022. First, we learn and prepare our knowledge to embark on a professional career. Then, throughout our careers, we engage in a continuous process of relearning and adaptation, ensuring our skills remain relevant and our competence is maintained. Finally, and it is only a matter of time, given the limited capacity of human beings, we lose faculties and end up forgotten. According to Sanchez et al. In 2022, the importance and proportion of emotional, rational, and spiritual knowledge can also be different throughout life. From an individual perspective, rational knowledge obtained from training is essential in the first stage of a manager professional career, for instance. Indeed, having the necessary technical skills at this stage is critical. However, as managers advance and achieve more responsibilities, they must interact with more colleagues, and their emotions part can take on more weight. Aging brings people face to face with the unknown, and at this stage, spiritual knowledge may provide peace and a framework for understanding life's big questions. In order to know how practical wisdom takes place from a collective or social point of view, we have considered three rural companies in Las Palmas de Gran Canarias. These companies were Cooperativa Agrícola de San Nicolás, Fibras Naturales de Canarias, y Quesos Artesanos de Gran Canarias. All these companies belong to the spectrum of rural companies, which are characterized as business that operates primarily in rural areas, which are typically characterized by low population density, limited infrastructure, and a higher reliance on agricultural and natural resources. On September 26, 2024, we interviewed the managers of these three rural companies in Casino of Galdar. The interviews lasted approximately 2 hours and involved a series of open questions. Based on this open question, we found the following results. In the case of the Cooperativa Agrícola de San Nicolás, we found that in the initial phase, the most crucial factor was the emotional capacities, which helped small farmers to unite and set aside conflicting emotion. This early collaboration was a critical factor in the company's success. As the company matured, the rational component took over, incorporating innovation with a significant technical component. In the current stage, the company is reaffirming its principle and demonstrating its commitment to the long-term success through continuous work towards sustainability. Therefore, the result could be emotional, rational, and spiritual. In the case of Fibras Naturales, we found similar results. During his growth stage, the company was driven by an emotional commitment to the environmental stewardship, contributing to the circular economy by repurposing agricultural waste. As the company matured, his rationality expanded his industrial processes to become a leader in sustainable innovation. In a potential future decline stage, the company could rely on his spiritual knowledge, staying true to his sustainability and social responsibility values. In the case of Quesos Artesanos de Canarias, we found similar results. In his initial stage, the emotional connection to heritage and craftsmanship was a driving force. However, although it is a young company, as it has matured, it has adopted rational strategies such as a modern marketing, diversification of the products it sells, and similar strategies. In a potential future decline stage, the company may lean on their spiritual knowledge, fostering their core values of sustainability and respect for tradition in order to sustain its competitive advantage. Although the three capacities occur simultaneously, as we have discussed previously, the weight of each of them varies throughout the life of the company. In the earlier stage, managing emotion helped align stakeholders around shared values, creating the emotional cohesion necessary to pursue long-term goals. This emotional foundation was later complemented by rational strategies like technical innovation. In a potential future decline stage, it's logic to think that the company may lean on their spiritual knowledge, fostering their core values and sustainability and respect for traditions. A potential explanation for these findings could be that while forgetting takes place at the individual level, unlearning takes place at the social level. In other words, in order to achieve an extended cycle of life, companies can support unlearning, which support new knowledge, and spiritual knowledge can replace especially outdated rational or even emotional knowledge. In order to finish this exposition, I would like to highlight a few concluding remarks. The first one could be that both at the individual and at the social levels, practical wisdom can be achieved with the same ingredients but playing in a different way. While at the individual level, the presence of one of them doesn't guarantee the presence of the others, at the social level, all of them are correlated to each other. For instance, from an individual point of view, an individual can be blinded by his emotions. However, from a social perspective, it is difficult for a community to be blinded all the people at the same time. On this slide, you can see a few managerial implications. For instance, practical wisdoms can be understood as a blend of emotional, rational, and spiritual knowledge, which plays a crucial role in rural leadership. It enables leaders to make balanced decisions, integrating profitability, sustainability, and cultural preservation, ensuring their community's long-term success and harmony. From an individual perspective, sometimes some companies may have more weight than others, depending on the moment. For instance, in the early stage of a career, rational knowledge could be more weight than the others. From a social perspective, individuals need to adapt to each other, which implies that the social outcome at a given time depends on the mutual adaptations. We also think that it is important to improve collaboration and stress management in order to support practical wisdom. As many other studies, this paper has some important limitations. The first one, we focus on a specific geographical context. We only use qualitative analysis. We do think that it will be very interesting to improve the research findings, collecting additional data, especially from different companies located in different geographical areas. Also, a longitudinal research could be helpful to track the evolutions of practical wisdom over time, and also examines the effect of digital transformation in practical wisdom could be a very interesting research topic. Thank you so much for your attention. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any question regarding to this study. I hope you enjoyed with this presentation.